Arcane is a Netflix original show based on the lore of the game League of Legends. And believe it or not, it's actually good. And depending on how the next episodes play out, if those can keep the same quality up as high as the first 3 episodes, then I would say that this will be the best thing that Riot Games has ever done. And that is coming from me who loves a lot of their games. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why Arcane is really good and why you should watch it. So my name is Random Guy Reviews. I do reviews of books, movies, TV shows, and any other types of media that I consume. In this video, I am reviewing the first 3 episodes of Arcane, and I'm going to tell you why you should watch it. So first of all, what is Arcane about? Well, Arcane takes place in 2 cities. One is Piltover and the other is Zaun. Piltover is the cities of the rich people and Zaun is the cities of poor people basically. And there has been a very strong class tension as of late, and in the same time, there are 2 separate technological advancements that might either drive the tension up or keep it down. And in all of those conflicts are some characters that are caught in the middle basically because of some of the things that they do. And yeah, that's basically the premise, I guess. One thing to note about my review is that I've only seen the first 3 episodes, or the first act as they're calling it, meaning that a lot of the things that I say might change in the future. In any case, I'll make a season review once all the episodes are out. So what makes Arcane so good and special? The main thing that everyone will notice first is the animation. Simply put, it is ridiculously good for me personally. Not only is it smoother than most animated stuff, but it's also, I don't want to say better because I know people who prefer the simpler art style, but it's a lot more sophisticated and detailed than most animated stuff out there. I would compare it to Spider-Verse, except Arcane is a bit more restrained and less quirky compared to the animation in Spider-Verse. But even though it is restrained, it never felt lazy, you know? Like how some animations get lazy when there's not much stuff going on. Arcane never feels like that. It feels like every single frame has something going on in it, so it's never boring in that aspect. That is a big factor in how everything in the series feels so visceral, despite the fact that it is obviously a fantastical world. The immersion of the world building and the vividness of the art means that everything feels real and impactful. This might sound a bit weird, but one of the things that stuck out to me is how this series depicts one particular thing very differently than anything else that I've seen recently. And that is the way people cry. What I mean by this is that when people cry in the show, it's not pretty, it's not cute, it's sad, it's tragic, it's very convincing as hell. It looks raw, and it's not like how people cry in most movies or shows, it looks like how people cry in real life basically. So yeah, in short, the animation itself is a good reason to keep rewatching these episodes many times, as I've done, because I always notice a lot of new things in the animation itself every time I watch the episodes. So yeah. But of course, the animation alone means nothing if what's being animated is not compelling, which brings me to my next point. Everything else other than the animation is, for the most part, really good as well. Where do I even begin? The relationship between Vi and Powder or Jinx is the heart of the show. If it's not done well, the show as a whole wouldn't work, because that's the most important thing in the show. At least the marketing makes it seem that way. And the first 3 episodes, I think, have done an absolutely incredible job in setting up the dynamic between them and even teasing at what might happen in future episodes between them. What I've said about the animation is a huge factor in the success of this because the rawness of the emotions and the incredible detail and nuance in the facial expressions of the characters are central in supporting the already brilliant character writing. And it's not just that. Sometimes when a story focuses too much on characters, it might feel like the plot is going slow or without any purpose other than to set up and forcefully develop the characters. However, Arcane does not suffer from this problem, because even the less important characters are still given enough stuff to do on their own to make them interesting and pick up the pace when the main plot slows down. And pretty much all of these side characters make me want to know more about them because they're just so interesting and intriguing, if that makes sense. And speaking of the main plot in general, I think it's amazing. The way it starts, it's very intriguing because while there isn't really any one big mystery, there are some small ones that keep adding up and make it so that I want to keep watching the next episode. The foreshadowing in the show is also excellent, although it's a bit on the subtler side, so unless you're rewatching, you might be missing a thing or two. And I do admit the pacing might be a bit slow to start with, but it's not really a problem because once it gets going, you just forget that it was slow at the beginning, you know? It's that good. And finally, even though I've said all of this good stuff about this show, I do have some gripes. I don't think this is a perfect show so far. Though I don't really have the energy to talk in detail about them because they don't really bother me all that much. But yeah. First, it's the editing or the cutting to be precise. Mostly they're good. Mostly the scenes flow really smoothly, but there are some questionable ones, I would say, because they connect the scenes in a way that is really weird and they don't allow me to process the fact that the scene has changed before beginning the action, if that makes sense. And second, the music selection, not the score, but the music selection from, I don't know, like Imagine Dragons and something, they can be a bit out of place. Like the Imagine Dragons song, for example, which is the theme. It plays over the opening, what's it called? Yeah, the opening of the show. And I think it would have been better if the song was in like instrumental instead. There are other moments like that where, I don't know, it just feels really off and it kind of ruined the immersion a little bit when those songs come on, you know? Like, it's not a big deal again, but still. And the final one, there are some character moments or choices that kind of baffled me even after a couple of rewatches. Again, I've watched these episodes a few times and yet I couldn't really comprehend why they did what they did, given what we know from the show, and all the options that I could think of are a stretch. Now, this probably says more about my ability to comprehend the show instead of, the show itself, because sometimes I'm not good at comprehending media, which is something that I'm working on, but yeah, I thought I would mention that. Yeah, I think that's all really. Even though I said some of the gripes, I definitely think you should watch this and you should check it out because the gripes for me was very, very much overshadowed by everything that is good, which is almost everything but the show. So, yeah, whether or not you are a League of Legends fan, if you are someone who enjoys fantastic storytelling and animation that is just as good, if not better than the storytelling, then you would definitely have a good time watching this. So, yeah. Go watch Arcane and wait next week for the 3rd until 6th episode. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. Bye.